legislative process. Bring it through the front door. Let's not do a backroom deal.
Amen. Yep.
Secretary Hall says he doesn't want to deal with the quote-unquote rocket docket of the legislature. He doesn't want to bring this through. Yet there's a long history in the legislature dealing with land use decisions. Starting in a very bitter battle in 1974, a 1977 bill that created MALF, a 1984 Critical Areas Bill, a 1989 Tidal Wetlands Bill, a 1992 Economic Growth and Resource Protection Planning Bill, a 1997 Rural Legacy Bill, a 1997 Priority Funding Areas Act, the 2004 Flush Tax, the 2006 Priority Preservation Areas, a 2007 Stormwater Management Act, and in 2009 and 2010, bills known as Smart, Green, and Growing bills that came through the legislature. Why do I give you that lengthy list? I give you that lengthy list because they all came through the legislature. And we can argue whether we liked them or didn't like them, but the legislature had a say. We believe that PlanMaryland deserves that same review. We want them to bring it in the front door. Again, not a backroom deal. You know, you're going to hear today at 11 o'clock and during the briefing, Secretary Hall is going to say, you know what? There's nothing new in this document. Matter of fact, others have called it a nothing burger. Okay? You know, I find that kind of amazing. For something that's supposed to be a nothing burger, you've got the Maryland Association of Counties weighing in to object. We have 2/3 of the counties have signed various resolutions or letters sent objecting to this. We have the Farm Bureau objecting to PlanMaryland. We have the realtors objecting to PlanMaryland. We have home builders objecting to PlanMaryland. We even have the Sustainable Growth Commission raising serious issues with PlanMaryland. We have legislators on both sides, in both houses, the Senate and the House, objecting to PlanMaryland. And if you look at MDP's own planning page, 3 out of 4 of the comments that are on there are negative. You know what? This is a big deal. This is something worth fighting about. It needs legislative review. It needs to come in the front door. It doesn't need to be done.
So don't fall for that. They tell you that ultimately you don't have to abide by it because the financial streams are tied to your giving up your local authority. We should not have to do that. It's an unconstitutional taking of the property rights of the farmers and those individuals who are out in the rural areas, and it is also an unconstitutional process, as Senator Pipkin has pointed to and alluded to. Go through the front door, use the legislature, and you won't end up in the courts trying to enforce the rights of all of the rural counties and the rural areas of the states. The governor we have this established government. It has a process, and they should follow the process, not try to subvert it.
Yeah!
So where does this leave us? Well, we will resist in the legislature. We will resist in our communities. We will resist in the committees. We will fight in the courts. We will fight in state and national media. And if they will not respect our rights, we will exercise our constitutional prerogative to throw off such government and provide new guards for our future security.
Remember, stand in brotherhood with Maryland farmers, protect their property rights, protect your property rights. We all know one thing. Maryland farmers know that the worst and most dangerous manure is not generated on Maryland farms, but right here in Annapolis.
For the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition, we are tired of having 7 counties, the big 7, ram legislations and policies down our throat without having our voices heard. So thank you for coming out. Thank the Senate, the House of Delegates, all the county commissioners and municipal folks that are here, the Farm Bureau, the building community, the realtors. We have to stand together now. We have to stand together and make our voices heard. So thank you very much for coming out. For the first time in the history of the state of Maryland, formed the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition. We are tired of having 7 counties, the big 7, ram legislations and policies down our throat without having our voices heard. So thank you for coming out. Thank the Senate, the House of Delegates, all the county commissioners and municipal folks that are here, the Farm Bureau, the building community, the realtors. We have to stand together now. We have to stand together and make our voices heard. So thank you very much for coming out.
Southern Maryland, doesn't that tell you something, folks?
Yes.
Doesn't that tell you something, Governor? When every region of this state is represented here to express their grievances about this plan, maybe this governor should wake up and realize that we have a problem here.
Right, and he did.
You know, Governor, my county, Washington County, has the 2nd highest unemployment rate in the state of Maryland. Tell me, Governor, what PlanMaryland is going to do to bring jobs to Western Maryland? My constituents deserve high-paying jobs. They don't deserve to have their county commissioners run roughshod over land use planning. That is not what the proper role of government in the state of Maryland is. You know, I also want to quote James Madison. You know, I think if more of us in government look to our constitutional founders for advice about how to run our current events today, we'd be so much better off. But this says it all to me, from the papers of James Madison: where an excess of power prevails, property of no sort is duly respected. No man is safe in his opinions, his person, his faculties, or his possessions. And that is precisely what this plan is all about, is to take away property that people have, that they own, to take away the decisions of our locally elected officials. Madison goes on to say, government is instituted to protect the property of every sort. Government is to protect property, not to take property away. And to me and to all the people gathered here today, the Constitution of the state of Maryland and the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights means something. That's right. It means something. People have fought and died for that Constitution. And we have a planning secretary, someone who was not elected by the people of the state of Maryland, rocket docket rich, who wants to ram this thing through without the citizens, without the legislature having any consent. So thank you all so much for being here today. And the message is that you gathered here today, are going to put a stop to this kind of behavior. And I thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Let your voice be heard in your communities. We have tremendous access now. We have internet. We have email. We have a way to communicate the atrocities that are going on in Annapolis. Don't let people forget what's going on. We have to remind them each and every day. And if you think this plan is good for the state of Maryland, honestly, you must be a few peas short of a casserole. Thank you all for being here. We're going to go in that hearing. We'll let our voices be heard. We are not the 1%. We are not the 99%. We are the 100% of American citizens who believe that government goes too far to use your rights against you. And I'm going to ask you here today to fight it. We are the 100%. The 100%.
Granddaddy put out smart growth. Remember that one? You know, well, this is smart growth on steroids. My county is known for really incredible planning. We have the city of Columbia. And yet that didn't meet the standards for these people. They want a European model. They want everybody living in the cities and that beautiful farmland out so that the artists can go out and just paint pretty pictures. They don't want it to smell. God forbid it should smell. We don't want noise of the equipment. We want it to just look beautiful so these people living in the cities can have a place to go and relax and enjoy life. This is just not a good plan. It's going to devalue the land for the farmers who need to have their base of their land to help borrow for their operations. It's a disaster for the state of Maryland. Glendening's was a disaster. This is it on steroids. So we need to fight it. Thank you for being here. God bless you.
Where was Governor O'Malley's campaign commercial about a 15-cent gas tax increase? You don't remember that, right? No. Okay, where was his campaign commercial about increasing the tolls at the Bay Bridge? Poor citizens of Cecil County can't even escape their own county now without going bankrupt, right? Anyone here from Cecil, you'll be a lot poorer at the end of the year. And finally, where was Governor O'Malley's campaign commercial? Where was it? Where was it about bankrupting farmers in southern Maryland, western Maryland, on the eastern shore? Where was it, folks? Did anyone here see it? No! There you go, it's pretty unanimous. Of course you didn't see it, because it never happened. This man was elected to represent all of you. All of you. Not a special interest party that is convinced that the best economic plan for Maryland is bankrupting our farmers. It was said before, who is going to feed the state? Them? Yeah. These institutional, establishment, bourgeoisie, insulated politicians we have here. Folks, I'll leave you with this one final thought, and you know it. These folks were elected to represent, not anointed to rule. Yeah. They were not anointed. Thank you very much.
From each other, and no person exercising the functions of one of said departments shall assume or discharge the duties of any other. Look at PlanMaryland. It's a piece of legislation. What department is proposing to push this forward? The executive department. They are in violation of the Constitution. That's right. What's the remedy to this? The remedy to this is very clear. If you turn to the part of the Constitution that deals with the executive branch, that's Article 2, Section 7 says, the legislature may provide by law, not inconsistent with Section 26 of Article 3 of this Constitution, for the impeachment of the governor and lieutenant governor. That's what should take place. The legislative branch, the impeachment process begins when 51% of the House of Delegates files an article of impeachment and says O'Malley and the lieutenant governor can be impeached for violating their oath of office. Then, once that article of impeachment has been given and passed by the House, it's sent to the Senate, which holds a trial. Has the governor violated Article 8 of the Declaration of Rights? Very clearly he has. And then 2/3 of the senators need to vote to remove him from office and remove the lieutenant governor from office for having violated their oath of office. So, how many delegates are willing to take the step forward at this point and say, I will put together an article of impeachment so that if O'Malley signs PlanMaryland, impeachment will begin immediately? Do we have some? All right. If you are not a delegate here this morning, you have 3. For most districts, you have 3 delegates that you can communicate with and say, look, you took an oath to the Maryland Constitution. Follow your oath. It is your duty as a legislator to impeach anyone in office who violates this Constitution. I heard on the radio one well-known delegate who was saying he didn't think he had the power to impeach the governor. It wasn't his duty to impeach the governor. He does not know his Constitution. You and the citizens need to remind any of your delegates who are feeble or timid on this point that they need to do their duty.